In today's video, I'm starting a travel journal using the actual paper pieces I saved from a road trip we took last May. We drove from Florida to the St. Louis area for my nephew's college graduation. Like any longtime paper crafter, I came home with more maps, programs, brochures, and postcards than any normal person would think necessary. Instead of making a blank journal and adding the memorabilia later, I wanted the memorabilia to take center stage and become the journal. So today I'm building the pages and the structure using all of these pieces. This project was inspired by Natasha from Treasure Books, and I'll link her video below to the layered journal she made. I've wanted to make something like this for a long time, and this trip finally gave me the right subject and way to do it. So, if you like to collect all of these types of things on road trips and vacations, but you struggle to incorporate it all into your journals and scrapbook pages, this video is for you. Welcome to another Phantom Charm Studios tutorial. I'm Tammy. I am a longtime paper crafter and scrapbooker, and now I make junk journals. This is hands down one of my most favorite projects ever. This first video is mostly the construction stage. So we're doing the practical part, choosing the pieces, trimming them down, folding them into pages, and getting the journal ready to bind. In the next video, I'll decorate the pages and talk about the trip. And then I thought I might do a short flip through video of my completed journal as well. I know for me personally, I like to see how people are actually using and filling up their journals, but it's not something people share all that much, or maybe they don't feel comfortable sharing. So if you want to see how this journal turns out and want me to do a flip through of my completed journal, let me know in the comments. I've already picked out a few pieces that I want to use for pages in my journal. The first page and the cover will be a standard A2 card. I've also picked out two scrapbook papers from my stash. These are both from the Dreamer collection from American Crafts. I thought that the stamps paper would be fun for the cover. Stamps give a collected, mailed, and bin somewhere feeling. The graduation program gave me the color direction. The school colors are purple and white, so that became the anchor for the whole journal. I'm calling this a travel journal, but if you come from scrapbooking, this is basically a mini album with some junk journal additions. To add more of that junk journal feel, I found these paper bags that are purple with white polka dots. Paper bags are a great way to add in pockets. I also want to add in one of these Dollar Tree doilies. Doilies add a round shape and texture and can help break up some of the sharper corners. I also have this treat bag with the window that will go on one of the pages. I can tuck some pieces from the graduation program in here. I think that's all I need to show for now. Let's start making this journal. The first thing I want to do is cut this heart paper down to 8 inches tall by 12 inches wide. The pages will cascade down, so each page will be about a half inch smaller at the top and side than the page behind it. This paper will be the largest and the center page. I'm starting with the largest because it sets the size for everything else. Once I know the biggest page, I can trim each next layer smaller and work my way down to the smallest page, the cover of the journal being that A2 card I showed earlier. This page gets folded in half. All of my pages will have a center fold, and once all the pages are together, I will attach them with a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Press that crease with a bone folder to make it nice and crisp. I wanted this side with the purple colors to be visible. I'm grabbing my corner rounder to round all of these edges. My tool has 3 different corner sizes, and I'm using the largest size. The next page in my book will be the cover from the graduation program. My first page was 8 inches tall by 6 inches wide when folded. For the next page, I'm stepping down by a half inch, so this one will be 7.5 inches tall and 5.5 inches wide when folded. Since this page folds in half, that means I need the full piece to be 11 inches wide. First, I trim down a bit of empty space from the top, and then I'll trim the rest of the page down at 7.5 inches. The bottom part of the program with the date is getting cut off, but no worries. It will become a pocket, so save any offcuts. Those pieces can become pockets, labels, and tabs later on. Using my ruler here, I'm figuring out where that fold should go. I'm measuring 5.5 inches from the edge of the paper and making a little crease. This is where I want the new center fold to be. I'm just double checking my measurements to make sure that this is 5.5 inches, which it is. So I will fully crease the fold and burnish that new crease with my bone folder. And then I can just cut off the rest of the page. At this point, when I made this cut, I wasn't sure what would happen with the back page of the program. The original crease is still there because of the way I trimmed this page. I thought I might use that crease and make it into a side pocket, but I don't have to make that decision right now. I do need to round the corners, so I'll grab my corner punch and do that now. I wanted this map that has downtown St. Louis and the Gateway Arch on it to be the next page. Following that same half-inch step down, this page will be 7 inches tall and each page should be 5 inches wide. However, this page is not wide enough to give me a full back page. So I'm folding it at 5 inches and letting the back side be shorter. I actually like that. Short pages add surprise when you flip through the journal, and they can make the book feel more like a collected travel journal instead of a perfectly manufactured mini album. If a map or a brochure is too narrow, let it be a short page on the backside. There are other things we can do to change that later. If at any time the memorabilia you're cutting isn't as wide as it needs to be, feel free to do the same thing. I want all of the pages on the front side to be the right staggered sizes, but I'm okay if the back pages are shorter. I didn't do a great job folding in my new crease, so I'm trimming a bit off the top first. And then I'll trim this page at 7 inches. That bottom part that I'm cutting off will also be added back as a pocket later, so I need to keep that nearby. When I line this page up with the other two pages, you can see how this one is a half inch smaller than the purple page. Now I just need to round all of the corners. This Chattanooga map is the next page, and according to my half-inch step-down plan, it should be about 4.5 inches wide by 6.5 inches tall. But this is where the plan needs to be flexible. There was a specific part of the map that I wanted to keep visible, and I made the first cut in the wrong spot. Since I only have one copy, I have to work with what I have. It's still going to work for the front of the journal, but the page on the backside will also be short, and that's okay by me. The guide you want to try to follow is that your pages are each a half inch smaller. But realistically, when you're working with real memorabilia and you may not have a second copy, if you mess up, just make adjustments. The goal is to keep the important details and make what you have work. Off camera, I'm adding in a fold to see if I can salvage this map. If it went totally wrong, I could have pieced or collaged something together, but I won't need to. I will make sure that the side that faces front in the journal will be around the right size. I'm okay with how this looks, so I'll round the corners and move on. I folded my doily in half and I'm just trying to see where I want to place it in my journal. I think it's too big to go in front of the program, so I'm going to have to wrap it around the heart page instead. I like how that looks much better. And now I can do the same thing with the purple bag. So here comes my crafty supervisor, Harley. She's just checking to see if the journal meets her standards. Maybe she'll just sit there and not get in the way too much. I'm trimming about 3/4 of an inch off the top of the treat bag to shorten it a bit. So now when I fold it in half, it should be a bit shorter than the A2 card. I'm going to add this right after the card and it shouldn't show at the front of the journal. I'm going to keep the top of the bag open here at the front for a pocket. And later, I'll cover the flap on the bag with pattern paper and trim a tiny bit off the top to create a top loading pocket. Apparently, the journal passed inspection because Harley has moved on to more important Harley business. Taking a cue from the colors on the map and the program, I found these matching trims in my stash in purple, teal, and white. I want to add a few of these to my journal pages now before I do any decorating. When I add trims like this, I tend to look for contrast. Purple trim on the purple page wouldn't really show, and white trim on the white card would disappear. I want the trim to actually show up, so I'm pairing the purple with the white card and the white with the purple page. Fabri-Tac is great for adding trim and fabric. Because of how these pages cascade, you wouldn't really see trim on the back side so much, so I'm really just focused on having trim on a few of the pages you can see from the front. But because this white card is the cover of the journal, I think it would be nice to have it on both sides. This trim has a lot of open spaces, so I'm laying down a paper towel to blot up any excess glue. I love how just a little bit of lace or trim can transform a journal from ordinary to special. It gives you that little tactile moment when you turn the page. On this map, I'm only going to add trim to the front side. I don't need it on the back. I'm going with a darker teal color here. The background color of the map is a light green, so this darker trim should contrast nicely. I usually add the glue directly to the paper and then lay down the trim on top. Blot up any excess because you don't want that glue to seep onto other pages. For this page, I'm going to add a strip of the white trim. I only need this trim on the front side as well. I was still thinking about using that folded back page as a pocket, so it doesn't need trim back there. I was happy to find 3 different trim colors in the same exact style. I think it looks really nice on the finished journal, but you could use 3 completely different trims. Rick Rack would also be nice for these pages. Floral embroidery trims would work too, but use whatever you have. So this is where I'm stopping for today. The pages are trimmed, folded, layered, and ready to become a journal. In the next video, I'll bind it, add pockets, and bring in pattern paper and start decorating. Thanks so much for crafting with me today. If you save maps, brochures, programs, and random paper from your trips, let me know. What do you have the hardest time using? I'll see you in the next video.